Well, hello and good evening, and Newsnight today is beginning with the latest news that is coming in from Parliament, from the Rajya Sabha specifically. The Citizenship Amendment Bill has been passed in the upper house of Parliament. Remember, it passed 2 nights ago in the Lok Sabha as well with an overwhelming majority. In the Rajya Sabha, the vote that was, of course, it went to division, and 125 people were in favor. The members were in favor of passing the bill against 105 who were against. So the bill has been passed very comfortably in the Rajya Sabha as well. It did look that way ever since the bill passed in the Lok Sabha as well, because the kind of numbers, the kind of support that the government managed to get even from non-NDA parties was in itself telling. So there was no hurdle really in terms of the numbers in the Rajya Sabha as well. It did seem that there will be smooth sailing, except for the fact that the Shiv Sena seemed to be vacillating. It did support the bill in the Lok Sabha, but in the Rajya Sabha it wasn't clear, and we'll have to wait and see what is the verdict on the Sena as well there, because otherwise in terms of numbers, cut and dried, if you look at them, 125, the halfway mark was 121 effectively, and that has been crossed quite comfortably. So that's the verdict that's coming in from the Rajya Sabha right now, the Citizenship Amendment Bill, which will make all those citizens who've been coming into India up till December 2014 from the neighboring countries of Pakistan, Afghanistan, as well as Bangladesh, from 6 different religious communities, they become eligible for citizenship. The period that was initially there of 11 years has also been shortened to 5, that if they've been in the country for 5 years, they can apply for citizenship of India. So that's what's happened in the Lok Sabha. It was passed 2 nights ago effectively, and now tonight this bill has been passed in the Rajya Sabha as well. So now it will await presidential assent, and then it becomes law once it's notified. So like our breaking news is right now letting you know on the screen, it will make 6 religious communities from the neighboring countries of Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh eligible for Indian citizenship. Like I told you, 125 votes were in favor, 105 were against, and this of course has been preceded by a debate that has taken more than in fact 8 hours today in the upper house. The Home Minister, that's Amit Shah, introduced the bill in the Rajya Sabha at noon today. This was followed by his introductory remarks, and then almost all major political parties, their representatives got to give their opinion on the bill, their view on the bill, their stand on the bill. Why were they against it? Why were they in favor of it? And then the Home Minister replied again, and it was a very exhaustive reply. We saw him taking on the points raised by individual members as well, and countering them where they needed countering, and elaborating further where they needed further elaboration. And then there was clause-wise and also amendment-wise voting that was conducted in the House on the bill, and then ultimately the Citizenship Amendment Bill has been passed in the Rajya Sabha. Let me go across to my colleague Vishal Baristo for more on this. He's been tracking all the developments in the House today. Vishal, just tell us how did this momentous moment really come about through the course of the day? We saw a very, very passionate debate where points were raised, pertinent points were raised from the opposition as well, which the Home Minister countered to.
Gautam, everybody, at least the opposition also knew that they did not have the numbers, but still they were here and they kept forcing with different amendments. So they knew that, as you heard Derek O'Brien saying, it is morality versus numbers, and that is why you have the number here. It has been a victory. Though the Congress is still opposing, calling it that they have been, in fact, P. Chidambaram did say that JDU did not support them. But then the result shows it very well.
I'll just stop you for a moment, Vishal, because we're playing out pictures from the Majnu Ka Tila in the national capital itself, where a lot of people whose fate changes from here on, ever since this bill will be notified it will be notified as law by President, and they can then apply and they will become eligible for citizenship. They are in a jubilant mood. You can see the pictures if a screen is available to you as well. People are praying, people are waving national flags, also the BJP's flags. They are really thankful that this bill has been passed in Parliament today. Go ahead, Vishal.
Well, certainly, Gautam, it's a day of jubilance. I just spoke to Mr. Babanand. He's an MP from Manipur. He's coming from Northeast. He's also very excited. He is saying that it's a big day for us, and for 2 days we've been celebrating because the Prime Minister is also visiting Manipur. Now, talking about refugees here at the Majnu Katila, Home Minister Amit Shah quoted some of the incidents, how their families and the people who have been religiously persecuted, sexually, they have been tortured there in Pakistan. They have somehow sneaked into our country, asking for refuge, and they are asking for citizenship. So it's a big day for them. And he did say that history will definitely tell what Narendra Modi government has done for people like them.
But this moment has come about after a lot of hardship and a lot of, like you yourself said, undergoing torturous situations.
Well, absolutely, because first it had to go through a litmus test in Lok Sabha, though the opposition did not have the numbers, but still they came about with a lot of amendments. Then also in Rajya Sabha, it was all about the number game, but still opposition could not garner the requisite number, and so it has been a big victory for the BJP. And as you heard the Home Minister saying that it was very much there in the manifesto. So it is not politically motivated, rather it is emotionally motivated, and that is why it's a big day, as the BJP people have been saying. And all the leaders, they are talking to media persons, giving sound bites. The BJP leaders are in a jubilant mood. Obviously, the Congress leaders, they are very upset. They thought that they might get some numbers, but ultimately they lost.
Right. Vishal, do we know what actually does this bill really mean to these people who we are seeing celebrating on the screen? Once they get citizenship, what all will they be able to do which they haven't been able to do so far? And do we have any idea of the numbers as well?
Well, it would be too early to tell the number, Gautam, but let me tell you that lot many people have been waiting, and by 2020, they would be finally getting the citizenship. So it is certainly a big day for them. And let me tell you that I come from Rajasthan. I know a lot of refugees who are trained doctors from Pakistan, and they have taken refuge in Jodhpur, in Jaisalmer, in Barmer, but they cannot practice simply because they are not citizens of this country. And especially people like them, doctors like them, technocrats like them, it's a big victory, and they've been waiting for it. They've been asking for it because they have been victims of the religious persecution across the border. So now they get the chance, and now finally they can rejoice, finally they can heave a sigh of relief.
Right. Vishal, just stay with me, because we are talking about a momentous occasion here, which is the passage of the Citizenship Amendment Bill in the Rajya Sabha. It is already passed in the Lok Sabha, so now it will be on its way, I'm sure, for presidential assent as well to become law. And to talk about it, let's take our guests in as well now and have us join them on air as well. We have Sangram Patnaik, who's an advocate in the Supreme Court, joining us, and Praful Ketkar, editor-organizer as well. Praful, this was a promise, an electoral promise, but now you see that it goes much beyond a promise, an electoral promise as well, in terms of when you see these jubilant faces on the screen, the people who were nowhere people till moments ago, and now realizing that they will soon get to be citizens of India.
It is a historical moment, and it's not just about 2019 elections. If you see, right from 1947, 48, and later when Bharatiya Janasangh was formed, the erstwhile avatar of BJP, this was an issue. If I'm not wrong, BJS first time came up with the resolution in 1964 to come up with such provision. So it is a historic moment. the commitment that made by the BJP and the Narendra Modi led India government is another commitment is fulfilled. Unless we see this in the historical context that these have been the victims of partition, and unless their concerns are addressed, we cannot actually find whether we accepted two nation theory or not is a different question, but Pakistan definitely accepted it, then later Bangladesh definitely accepted it, and when majoritarianism prevailed there, these were the victims of that majoritarianism. They took shelter in India, and now at last they are getting some relief thanks to this amendment.
Well, certainly, Sangram Patnaik, through the day we saw a furious, a very contentious, passionate debate in the Rajya Sabha from both the sides. You saw the opposition raising objections, saying that this does not agree with the constitution, but the Home Minister was very categorical in countering and saying that this bill is not against the constitution of any provision as such. He mentioned fundamental rights, he mentioned Article 371 as well, and he said very clearly that this is not against any community within the country. No citizen will be denied citizenship because of this the passage of this bill. So all the points, do you think they've been well taken care of, legally speaking?
See, I'll tell you, the fundamental principle is to whom to include, not to exclude. So that has actually gone through the litmus test today in the floor. It is the wisdom of the parliament. Both the houses passed this. I don't think anybody have any doubt about it. Number two, suppose that the argument was that no, it is against the morality, Article 14 would come. It is not so. So the legislature or the parliament has well within its jurisdiction to pass a bill, and with such thumping majority, I don't think it would come in the way anytime in the future. At least the dust which was lying for so long years in the cupboard, it is clear now. There is a clear daylight, and we would start the beginning from tomorrow onwards, or when it is going to have the accent of the the President of India. But to my mind, all these debates that it is unconstitutional, it doesn't permit in Article 14, and it would violate 6th schedule. So I do not think there is anything left to discuss, particularly in this kind of debate as well.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel this particular issue, the bill completely is not in contravention of anything in the constitution, because the opposition on one side was not convinced about it, saying that it is discriminating against a particular community, and the Home Minister very clearly said that that is not the case at all, because people of that faith have even this year and the last year been given citizenship of the country.
See, citizenship is a process, right? I think everyone is clear about it. It's a process. Every country has their process to accept a citizenship. Now today there is an amendment that yes, now it has come to the right from the 11 years to 6 years. Now tell me one good reason why and why not these people, this community based on the religion, they should not be accepted in their own country, number one. Number two, which is more important, when all this history everybody knows about it, how they started and all, this kind of debate which is on since quite some time, and it started in 1950 also in the parliament, and the act which has come in 1950 by the Panditji government, the then Congress, that they all of them said in one tone that all these minorities need to be accepted, and if required even the amendment should take place. So that's the point. If the debate is on since right from the independence, right from the Mahatma Gandhi prayer meeting where he said that it is to be done, there is no doubt about it, and today in 2019 we are sitting here in the studio and it is being passed with thumping majority. I do not think, at least for good reasons, we should not debate anymore, and there is nothing to be debated about. Of course, the people must take that stand that no, it is violated Article 14. I do not think, unless it is discriminatory, I do not think it is discriminatory first, and you have to pass this test that yes, it has to be discriminated to one community and all. It is not. It has to be included, right? Suppose I wanted to include Sikh or Hindu or Buddhist or the Jain community, it has to be included. So how, it is non-Muslim and the debate is on, I don't think that there is anything to left about.
Right. And Praful, what do you make of these points that the opposition was trying to make, and the Home Minister countered in the House as well, both earlier in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and yet again even in the case of the northeastern region, again, the exemptions have been given as far as the 6th schedule is concerned, and also the inner line permit areas. But we still see protests happening in the region.
In both the houses, I think Home Minister was very categorical as far as the allegations made by the opposition. And I was really surprised, after listening to him in Lok Sabha, the same kind of arguments where nothing new was, put forth in Rajya Sabha. If it would have been countered on more subtle technicalities, considering the NRC background, it would have been more challenging perhaps, or it would have made more logic. But it was the same old argument about the secular ethos of the constitution. I simply fail to understand why.
Yes, I just want to interrupt you for one moment. I'll just read out the tweet that Prime Minister Modi has put out, that it's a landmark development that has taken place. Yes, go ahead, Praful.
Yeah, why the victims of partition? And I would like to invoke Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar here. On 27 September 1949, even when the constitution was not adopted, completely enacted, he gave a call, and he specifically gives a call saying that, even if you are forcibly converted, you are free to come back to India and follow your faith, whichever faith you want to. That is the call he is giving. Was he discriminatory against Muslims? Was he against the spirit of the constitution? Please, this distortion should stop, this fear mongering should stop. You can always question government on policy issues. As an opposition, you have every right. But this very opposition on many, in 2012, CPM asked for citizenship for the persecuted minorities from Bangladesh. In 2003, Dr. Manmohan Singh asked the same thing. When in 1953, when this citizenship thing was discussed, Pandit Nehru himself specifically mentions about these communities, because after partition there were, and please remember,
yes,
as far as Pakistan and Bangladesh in last 15-20 years are concerned, most of the victims are from what we call in Indian constitutional parlance is the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. If we are not concerned, see, they were not aware when in 1947, most of them may not be even aware where the boundaries are going to be drawn. Suddenly, last night they slept in, India, British India, and next day
yes,
they were perhaps in East
yes,
Pakistan.
yes, Praful, definitely. I mean, it can, if the opposition is saying that this is numbers prevailing over morality, one could turn around and say this is humanitarianism prevailing over partisanship.
Absolutely. And this humanitarian consideration should have been, given much before, and this should have been stopped somewhere. The cap has to be there. I completely agree with that, and that was the spirit even of the Assam Accord. But it was limited to Assam. What we are going
Praful,
to do
as you speak, we're playing out images coming in from Kolkata as well. Again, because the Prime Minister himself has referred to these people, saying crores of people have been suffering for years, and this bill will alleviate their suffering of many who face persecution for years. These are the Prime Minister's words, and this is why these people that we're seeing on the screen are celebrating in such a jubilant manner. Go ahead, Praful.
See, this jubilation clearly shows that the decades of apathy and persecution, they are finding some hope now. They will somewhere, there is a chance to get assimilated. They came with a hope to India, and now citizenship will be granted to them. So unless we understand this historical context, and this bill has put forth many or rather corrected many historical wrongs. People try to mix up with Rohingyas, with Tamil refugees. This was a specific case. The partition had created certain victims. Both the countries had given certain commitments to its minorities. India fulfilled that. Pakistan, erstwhile East and West Pakistan, now Pakistan and Bangladesh didn't do that, and that's why we have to face this. Now we have put certain cap that people who have come up to 2014, they will get. This is, remember, this is just a easing out process.
Right.
Now they don't have to wait for 11 years. It is 5 plus 1. So within 6 years, these people are going to get the citizenship of India after, from the time they have arrived in India.
Correct.
So
because the cutoff date is December 2014.
So this is going to basically an enabling provision,
Yes,
for certain communities who are persecuted in the neighborhood.
Certainly.
Where is the question of discrimination?
Yes, we'll be talking about this further. Praful, let me just acquaint our viewers more exhaustively with what has happened in the course of the day as far as the passage of this bill is concerned, because the Citizenship Amendment Bill has been cleared by the Rajya Sabha today. The vote was 125 in favour and 105 against, and this was preceded by a thorough, passionate and one would say contentious debate as well, where a lot of questions were raised about the bill, but almost all those questions were emphatically and very clearly answered by Home Minister Amit Shah too. Take a look.
The Citizenship Amendment Bill clearing the Rajya Sabha hurdle.
Division on the motion that the bill be passed, subject to correction. Ayes 125, noes 105, abstain 0. The motion that bill is passed is adopted.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah put to rest all doubts in a point-by-point reply in the upper house.
ये नागरिकता देने का बिल है, नागरिकता लेने का बिल नहीं है। ये नागरिकता देने का बिल है। अनुच्छेद 14 में जो समानता का अधिकार दिया है, संसद को ऐसा कानून बनाने से नहीं रोकता जो रीजनेबल क्लासिफिकेशन के आधारित हो, और रीजनेबल क्लासिफिकेशन आज यहाँ है। हम कोई एक धर्म को नहीं दे रहे, हम ये 3 देशों की माइनॉरिटी को ले रहे हैं और सभी की सभी माइनॉरिटी को ले रहे हैं।
Home Minister Amit Shah presented the Citizenship Amendment Bill in Rajya Sabha at noon on Wednesday, after getting the legislation passed in the lower house the day before with an overwhelming majority. TMC's Shukhendu Shekhar Roy objected to the bill before its introduction, but Chairperson Venkaiah Naidu dismissed his objections. While presenting the bill, Home Minister explained its intent to the upper house and how it will give lakhs of people an opportunity to live with dignity.
इस बिल के जो प्रावधान है वो लाखों करोड़ों लोग जो कई सालों से यातना का जीवन जी रहे हैं, नर्क की यातना का जीवन जी रहे हैं, उन सबको एक नई आशा की किरण दिखाने वाला ये बिल है। विभाजन के बाद एक हम सब की कल्पना थी कि जो नागरिक यहाँ पर अल्पसंख्यक रहते हैं और पड़ोसी देशों में भी जो अल्पसंख्यक रहते हैं, वो सब अपने अपने नागरिक अधिकारों के साथ सम्मानपूर्ण जीवन जी पाएंगे।
Rejecting the opposition's reservations against the legislation, Home Minister said it has nothing to do with minorities in the country and they are completely safe and secure under the Modi government's rule. Home Minister also made all efforts to dispel the doubts of the people of Northeast about the bill.
पूर्वोत्तर राज्यों में उन वर्गों के लिए सभी मुद्दों को स्पष्ट करने का प्रयास करेंगे जिन्होंने कानून के बारे में आशंका व्यक्त की है, और पूर्वोत्तर राज्यों के लोगों की भाषाई, सांस्कृतिक और सामाजिक रक्षा के लिए भी हम अपनी प्रतिबद्धता दोहराते हैं।
After the minister's introductory remarks, the House began to debate the bill. While the Congress and some opposition parties opposed the bill vehemently, BJP and its NDA allies backed it to the hilt.
अवधि जो घटी है वो 11 साल से हटा के 5 वर्ष की है, उसको आपने बताया। तो क्या ये कहना उचित होगा कि 72 साल तक वो तमाम लोग जो बंटवारे से, पार्टीशन से प्रभावित हुए, पाकिस्तान चले गए, चाहे पूर्वी पाकिस्तान या पश्चिम पाकिस्तान, उनको भारत की नागरिकता और भारत में आने का सम्मान से कोई अधिकार नहीं था?
कि संविधान में सीधा इस सदन को पावर है और उस सदन को सिटीजनशिप के संबंध में, नेचुरलाइजेशन के संबंध में सारे विस्तार से कानून बनाने का, तो पहला इस सदन को यह अधिकार है कि द लॉ व्हिच इज सपोर्ट टू बी डिस्कस्ड टुडे and passed by this house, it is constitutional, is valid,
is in national interest and also subserve a larger humanitarian order.
आर्टिकल 15 सिर्फ और सिर्फ जो हिंदुस्तान का नागरिक है, सिटीजन, वही उसको अवेल करता है। आर्टिकल 14 की बात है तो सब जानते हैं उसमें कि रीजनेबल क्लासिफिकेशन जो है, जिसमें इंटेलिजिबल जो डिफरेंशियल है और सब्सटेंशियल जो डिस्टिंक्शन है, उसका बहुत ही स्पष्ट मतलब है और उसी के आधार पर अपने देश में बहुत कानून बने हैं और ये कानून बना। तो इसलिए हम लोग इसका, हमारी पार्टी इसका समर्थन करती है।
Several MPs from the Northeast also supported the bill.
बाकी जो स्टेट के लिए उन्होंने व्यवस्था किया है, जैसे 371 पर ये लागू नहीं होगा, ILP एरिया में वो लागू नहीं होगा, 6 शेड्यूल में वो लागू नहीं होगा, और इसके लिए मैं गृह मंत्री जी को धन्यवाद देता हूं कि वहां पर बहुत सारे जगह पे उन्होंने सुरक्षित रखा जिन लोगों ने, जिसके ऊपर शंका था।
After the discussion, Home Minister replied to the House saying that the opposition is fueling unfounded fears and all minorities are completely safe and sound under the Modi government's rule.
कांग्रेस जो करेगी वो तो सारा सेक्युलरिज्म है, सारा सेक्युलरिज्म, जो करो वो कोई भी आपत्ति नहीं है। कब तक मूर्ख बनाओगे माइनॉरिटी को? मान्यवर ये कह रहे थे कपिल सिब्बल साहब के, आपसे कोई नहीं डरता मुसलमान। मैं तो नहीं चाहता डरे, आपके ही लोग कहते हैं डर है, डर है, डर है। मैं कभी नहीं कहता कि डरो, डरना भी नहीं चाहिए। इस देश के गृह मंत्री पर सबका भरोसा न होना चाहिए और मैं कहता हूं माइनॉरिटी को जरा भी चिंता मत करो।
The bill provides for granting citizenship to immigrants from 6 minority communities facing religious persecution in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. After having cleared the hurdles of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the bill will be sent for presidential assent in order to become a law. With Parliament team, News Night Desk, DD India.
So that big moment has come. The bill will now get presidential assent as well and become law, and which is why we've been playing out these images that have been coming in from different parts of the country where people, refugees essentially from these 3 countries, had settled in India, and they have been nowhere people for several years altogether. And now this bill presents them with renewed hope that they will have an identity. They will become citizens of India. They will be able to do so many things, apply for government jobs, study in the country's schools and colleges, and fulfill their lives as well. And that is why we are seeing these images. And if I could come to you, Mr. Patnaik, for more on this, let's also talk about how the Home Minister responded to the misgivings of people in the Northeast and how those have been settled as well, because there's a lot that is still happening there that seems to be originating from the misconceptions about this bill.
You know, the fact remains that 6th schedule permits, and you know there is a reason to it also. Suppose there is a Adivasi community or there is a community which is the backward, you should not disturb the equilibrium. So the bill actually takes care of not to disturb those communities who are actually not being assimilated till now in our society, right? So therefore this argument that yes, it will create disturbances in the society and particularly those areas under the Illinois permit system, that is why I am saying it was provided in the constitution. So we are not going to disturb the equilibrium of those people who are not yet been assimilated, particularly Adivasi, the backward community. So that portion is taken care of. Number 2, which is the most important one, I would say, you know, we debated almost, you know, day in, day out that yes, this is one of those bills which need to be objected to or object by the oppositions.
Yes.
My only point is that how is it that discriminatory, particularly the Article 14 towards A community or B community, you are including, right? You are not excluding. The person who is there whom you have to invite, that yes, you know, the natural, for example, that you are belong to the Hindu community and for ABCD reason you have been thrown out. You are not going to live in the air or in the sea. You have to come to a country which is your natural country. And one of the reasons for this is if this Nehru-Likhat Pact was been complied by the Pakistan and by the you know, each and every country where there is a respect to the minority, we must believe, we must realize that these are the 3 you know, the countries which are the Islamic states, the theocratic states. So the majority of the religion is the Islam, for example. Now what would be the treatment this minority would be getting? Hindu, Sikh, Jain or whatever. The treatment they are going to get is naturally is not the treatment which their own citizen would be getting. That is actually fundamentally wrong. If that pact would have been followed, the population ratio, that which you are seeing almost last couple of days, that the Hindu population is going down in all these countries, the three countries particularly, the Pakistan, Bangladesh, and how is it happened? Either they have been killed, either they have been deported, either they are forced out, either they have been exodus. Now the point is,
as well.
Yeah. So therefore, the people who have been thrown out, where they would go. And number two, the debate is that it is, discriminatory. Now this test of discrimination would definitely go through Article 14, because the natural citizens, particularly the Hindu or these people, the Sikh community which has been taken care of, if they come back to their own place, this would not have arose, mind it. They would have stayed comfortably in their own country. But because of this treatment, they have to come back, and it is the first and foremost duty of a country like ours, not in the name of the secular that yes, we would say that no, everything should be given. No. At times you have to put your foot down. In life, or in the life of a nation also, you have to say that this bill is actually the need of hour, which has been passed today, and thumbs down. And I would say the opposition has done their duty. I'm not saying they're wrong or right, but tell me one good reason why the people who are actually giving the best treatment in the other countries should not be getting that treatment, and when they come to your own country, you would say no, let us throw them out because they have come because of the wrong process. The citizenship should not be given to them. My only point is, given a situation like this, see the plight they have gone through all these years. Now it has been recognized, like you rightly said, that they would be getting the good education. As a citizen, they would be getting the good treatment in the hospitals, the Aadhaar provisions, and everything would come to their rescue. And the humanitarian ground cannot be on one-sided affair. It's not only a one-sided love affair that you would say, no, humanitarian principles should be applicable to only one community. No, I'm sorry. There are provisions after provisions that it has to be applied to equally to every citizen of this country. That is what has been done today.
Yes. And Praful, do you feel that in terms of, again, the issue of the Northeast, the people are being misled even now, because there's been a lot of engagement already on behalf of the Home Minister, more than 100 hours if you look at before the introduction of the reintroduction of the bill in this session of Parliament, and there were changes that were made in the previous format of the bill as well, which had lapsed in the previous Parliament.
See, we need to understand the concerns of the Northeast. Right from 1980s, when the ASU agitation started, there were three prominent concerns for the northeastern states, mainly Assam, but even other states. One is about their unique indigenous identity and culture. The second was about the pressure on land and resources. So the acquisition of land was a key issue, especially in the areas like Bodoland. And the third one was mainly about the employment opportunities. Now these three issues actually led to entire Assam agitation. And therefore it was obvious when government is trying to take a decision about resettlement of refugees. But here, what this particular amendment has done is the sixth schedule and the areas which were earlier protected under inner line permit, they are excluded from this. Now, if you take the, where is the main, in Bodoland, it is not the, refugee communities that are staying. It is mainly in the Barak Valley and Karimganj region. Now, all these areas where traditionally Bengali speaking, it's unfortunately in 1905, the first partition of Bengal, they were attached first to the East Bengal and then to Assam. So, this entire thing has to be understood in the discourse. Now, what is needed there is a responsible communication by the local leaders. Though Mr. Amit Shah had rounds of meeting with the Chief Minister and various stakeholders there, and they were communicated, I think somewhere those leaders have failed to further communicate with the people, and there are miscreants. There are many organizations in Assam who have been and even remaining part of Northeast who have been running their shops on these issues. So now suddenly these shops will be closed. Their politics, their agitational politics, everything will be closed. Now they must be worried, and they are using this opportunity to show their strength. But ultimately the question is, those communities are already staying there. They are already part and parcel of those societies. As far as the NRC thing is concerned, that will be decided later, and your unique culture and identity is protected. Your inner line permit thing is protected.
Right.
So where is the question? Now this has to be carefully communicated to the common public. The agitating organizations, there are peculiar organizations in the Northeast, as I said, who have been running their shops on such issues. They will once the common public understands this issue, these agitations will die down.
And the partisanship itself, Praful, that is also remarkable in the sense that if you look at the case of the Shiv Sena, which was part and parcel of the NDA till the Maharashtra election results came in, and then it broke away, and then with the coming together of the Congress and the NCP led by Sharad Pawar, they formed the government in Maharashtra. The BJP was denied despite being a pre-poll partner, and now we've seen in the Lok Sabha the Shiv Sena supporting the bill, but as the reports are coming in, the Shiv Sena and its MPs walked out of the Rajya Sabha. 2 NCP members apparently were also absent.
See, this was really a testing point for Shiv Sena, because I have seen with my own eyes that in 1990s it was actually Shiv Sena who raised this issue in Mumbai about illegal migrants also, and about giving citizenship to the persecuted communities also. So ideologically this was the first testing point for Shiv Sena after aligning with Congress and NCP. And it was expected that on such core issue Shiv Sena would stand by the amendment, and Shiv Sena did that in Lok Sabha. But perhaps there was a pressure from allies, and it has this abstention or walkout has literally exposed Shiv Sena on the core issue that it fought for since 1990s, and this will have a huge impact on core constituency of Shiv Sena, especially in the Mumbai region, where there is a huge community both of illegal migrants and persecuted minorities from the neighborhood.
Right. Now, Mr. Patnaik, in terms of how these points have been put across, especially in terms of the misgivings of the bill being against one community, the Home Minister very clearly saying that this is a bill for giving citizenship to people, not taking it away. All these misconceptions that have been created, there might be efforts to take these misconceptions further on as well, beyond the scope of Parliament too. Do you think that they will wash in the eyes of the people, they will wash in the eyes of other authorities?
See, we need to wait and watch. We need to have a little bit of patience, right? Now, the bill is passed today. I think a lot of misconception would be also, evaporated in the air someday in life, because, the people are saying that, see, it is rightly so. It is actually inclusion, right? It is not that you are excluding. So the inclusion part, suppose these communities is to be included. I am not saying that he is not eligible, A is not eligible, B will be debarred from, casting the vote. It's not so. So therefore, this aspect, which, probably is not been correctly taken into account, which ought to have been by intelligentsia, that yes, now we have to only consider these are the criteria which need to be added. And secondly, I would like to add with regard to the Shiv Sena, I would say, I would be, rather very humble in saying it is a flip-flop. They didn't know about it, because in Lok Sabha they said yes, right? And Rajya Sabha they abstained. I don't know, I mean, in any case, suppose you object thoroughly, right from A to Z,
Yes.
You don't object personally,
The
or you
technical
don't say
term is
that
they
I would
walked
walk out.
It's not even abstention. They just
Exactly. You must put your foot down and say that this is the correct position, which in Lok Sabha they said that yes, no, we are going to accept this bill. Now today, you have seen the reality of life. So therefore, I would say it is actually a flip-flop on the part of Shiv Sena to take a stand. Now, insofar as that other aspect you were saying that yes, how our Honorable Home Minister's reaction and with regard to the presentation of the bill in such a manner that why this opposition creating a lot of hue and cry, which is not actually there. My only point is this, the opposition should be the best opposition to have a good debate, no doubt about it. But opposition should not be having for a sake of opposition that you would raise objection to every bill, every acceptable bill. I was just watching, we are waiting for that, the debate. So almost about, I think 27 to 26 amendments were sought for. There are few people who stood up, the honorable members of the parliament stood up and said that yes, are you going to propose this amendment? Somebody also sit down, no, we are not going to do it. So therefore, my only submission is that if you have actually a valid point, it should be objected to, no doubt about it. That is the vibrancy that we live in. Our constitution is actually one of the constitutions where everybody looked at it. I'm not saying we as citizens of this country, but everyone, every nook and cranny of this world look at our constitution. In fact, at times, they follow the judgments passed by our own Supreme
Court. That's
an
interesting point you made. Praful, are there inferences to be drawn as well in terms of the amendments that were proposed? Some were, pressed for division as well, but some were just, negated by voice vote, and the person who proposed them didn't really pursue them any further.
Yeah, and it is very interesting. Some of the divisions that were pursued, and not just the amendment or the motions were pursued, but they went on for division from a member of, for example, CPM.
Yeah.
And what he wanted? He wanted to head a select committee to review this bill. So, already joint committee has reviewed this. Lok Sabha has passed this. Now, at this stage, a CPM member, which has a minuscule representation in both the houses of parliament. But the point here is, the way point by point rebuttal given by the Home Minister, it is really unfortunate that instead of getting into the merit of the bill, instead of getting into the clauses of the bill or suggesting genuine amendment in the drafting of the bill, opposition tried to communalize the bill. I think there they failed miserably. On the other hand, what government tried to do, especially Home Minister Amit Shah, that he focused his entire presentation in Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha on the issue of religious persecution in the neighborhood and
perhaps the
migration that is taking place in India.
Perhaps the biggest puncturing hole in that religious argument, of being anti-Muslim and all that, was that the Home Minister saying that over 500 members of that community have been given citizenship this year itself.
Yeah, so that clearly shows that the option for the people who are coming to India and asking for citizenship through naturalization process, various means, it is always open. The old act is not going away. The old provisions are not going away. This amendment, that's why I said this amendment is an enabling provision. This is giving a special concession on humanitarian ground to the people or the section of communities. Now, for example, Afghanistan, there were, more than 2 lakh families in Afghanistan. Now there are 5,000 people in Afghanistan. We have seen many photos, Taliban and post-Taliban, where Sikhs were attacked. Where did those Sikh families go? They went, some of them may have gone to Europe or somebody, but most of them have taken shelter in India. Not everybody has the means to do that. So they are the victims, and therefore this is just an enabling provision to give them a special consideration that instead of 11 years, giving you this cap of, since the time you have arrived in India, 5+1 and December 2014 as the cutoff date. And this happened in batches, first 47, 48 that we know, but 57, 64, 65, then 71, then 80s was a major thing. And last, post Taliban and post, radicalization in Pakistan, the things are going much worse. And we are getting stories after stories, reports after reports that the women are getting raped, the land is getting grabbed, the educational unemployment opportunity, their complete discrimination. Now if they are looking at India as a natural habitat, who will look after them? On the one hand, you are giving lecture about Vivekananda and acceptance and our civilization and our constitution, but you are not giving understanding the issue from a historical perspective. See, this act doesn't discriminate one as any of the Indian citizens. So, including Muslims, they are equal Indian citizens. As far as the Muslims who want to come to India and through naturalization process want to be citizen of India, even that is open, but that will be under the old Citizenship Act. Those provisions are retained. This particular provision is only for the persecuted communities who have arrived in India before December 2014.
And Sangram Patnaik, there were some questions about how will it really work on the ground as well. Will people now have to establish that they were religiously persecuted? Just tell us in terms of how this, once it becomes a notified act, how will people then seek citizenship? They will of course apply, but what will the process? What will be the process that will be followed? Will it be the process that has been in practice all these years, or will there be a separate process, a new process, new rules?
See, I'll tell you, the process, I would not think that there would be different process. Only thing that has been added is that the people, the kind of people who would be added, right? The process of granting citizenship or not to grant a citizenship, it is not being amended.
It's an established process.
Exactly. Now the point is that yes, these are the people who have been added. So their credentials, their documents, how do they come to this country, and when they have come, what are the documentary evidence, all those things would be definitely gone into. I mean, everything would not be given as a the platter, right? You have to establish that. But only thing is the kind of people that has been added by this amendment. I would say that yes, I mean personally, if you ask me that yes, what kind of difficulty they are going to face, I do not think there would be any difficulty at all. And insofar as the exclusion goes, it is clear that yes, these are the people who not be added. Now my only point is that the people, just to add that aspect, that it is Hindu Muslim vis-a-vis it's a fight and all, it is not so. Suppose, let me test this proposition, where is the fate of this Hindu Rohingyas? They are not be given any chance here in this bill. This is only these communities from 3 countries who had come. Tamils are not given. Suppose you were staying in the Sri Lanka and you wanted to come to this, they are not being given the facilities here. So it is only with regard to these communities who are staying in the 3 countries, which is Islamic Republic, and they wanted to come back and they have a sufficient evidence to this. So they would be given the which is the natural citizenship of this country.
Right. Praful, would you like to add to that in terms of how the process will now unfold once the bill is notified as an act by the President and assented and then notified?
See, as far as the process is concerned, process is the same. It is an established process. What we need to understand is, there are 3 to 4 categories in among these people. One category we know obviously, and it was referred to even in the parliamentary discussion, where people crossed over, officially already became citizens, either their parents or they themselves, and they are also voters. They are either successfully either joining some service or becoming politicians. And here in the parliament, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Mr. Lal Krishna Advani, these 2 names were referred every now and then. But there are very interesting cases where people came here, registered themselves as refugees, but went on to, and there were camps, and it was under Mr. Pandit Nehru's government that these camps were, 36 camps were created, and they eventually didn't get, many of them didn't get the regular citizenship, but still they went on to get admission, they went on to get, so somehow without even the regular process, they get stuck somewhere when it comes to the process of issue of documentation. But that also can be resolved because they came somewhere in 1950s.
Okay.
Now there is a third category where they are just registered and staying in some camps in bordering areas even in Delhi or perhaps even in Bangalore or Mumbai or wherever these communities are staying in ghettos. Now they are going to be the real beneficiaries. Then there is a fourth category who are not registered but still arrived here and managed to get some kind of documents. Somebody getting some through some route, some getting some valid document, maybe a ration card so what about them? So all these four categories are going to be addressed. The fourth one will face some kind of scrutiny because they have, without getting registered, they have got some documents. That is my understanding of the process. But as far as the process of getting citizenship is concerned, as I said, it is eased out in terms of the actual number of years they have to wait for. Instead of 10 plus 1, they have to wait only for 5 plus 1 since the time they have arrived in India.
Yes, but they have to establish that 5 plus 1 as well. Okay. And Mr. Patnaik, as far as in terms of explaining again to the people who still have some issues with the bill, do you feel that that is something that will remain an ongoing process?
See, I'll tell you, it's passed. This bill is passed, right?
Yes.
And I'm not saying that it cannot be challenged also. I mean, let us be very clear in our life that I would rather say anything that is discriminatory or which is not acceptable in our constitution may be struck down by the court of law. But today, to say that the bill is discriminatory is too much to ask for. Bill is a first step in the right direction. Now it would become an act after it is being notified. Now the point is how to deal with the day-to-day problem. That step would definitely be taken care of also because of the rules, regulation as per the Citizenship Act, and there are so many things to deal with that. But today, to throw the baby with the bath water would be too much to ask for. You cannot say that because of this law, the bill should be struck down. No. Answer is emphatic no. It has to be, suppose tomorrow somebody would challenge it in the court of law. No, this is unconstitutional. It can be challenged. I'm not saying it should not be challenged, but to say that no, it is discriminatory, so therefore it should be struck down in the 14. Now that time and day has come which has been passed, the wisdom of the parliamentarians has shown the light of the day. End of the tunnel, there is light, it has been proved today.
Yes. Praful, do you feel that that is an argument that can be convincingly made to anyone really who might think that this bill is questionable?
See, I think now Parliament has given answer to all the questions, and the discussion was enlightening in many ways because it has brought many historical wrongs to the forefront, and some corrections were suggested, discussed. Suddenly people who were talking about oh, what if if they are illegal migrants, why can't we show large hearted, and what about Rohingyas, and suddenly they started talking about there is a already pressure on our land resources, and why should we accommodate. So all some people got exposed, some people, but the point is now there are two sections where we need to communicate very effectively. One is, as we earlier discussed, the northeastern areas where we need to still communicate about this bill. We have to ensure that their identity, their land rights, especially in the forest areas, and their job opportunities as far as Schedule 6 and other ILP related issues are concerned, they are protected. This needs a very emphatic communication with the local leaders. The second area is where I think opposition failed miserably. They have unnecessarily created fear mongering. Even some of the intellectuals, even social media activists, they tried their best to create fear mongering, especially among the Muslim citizens of this country. We need to address and tell and communicate that this has nothing to do with Muslims. This is not going to do anything with the people who are already citizens of India. This has to do with the people who are coming from outside, especially these three neighboring countries, to India,
And I'm sure
this is a provision, and here I think the community leaders are going to and should be playing more important role to communicate with the masses.
Okay.
In present world, especially with platforms like WhatsApp and all these, it's very easily the rumors can be spread.
Yes, the
fears
Home Minister has
can be
appealed on that
created,
account as well
and
on
there
social
we
media.
need, everybody of us need
And
to be
in
very,
any
very
case, in the
responsible.
implementation of the bill itself, once it becomes law, it will become evident, as the Home Minister has assured everyone, each and every community, each and every member in the House, that there will be nothing that will be discriminatory in the bill with any citizen of the country. And this is just an enabling bill, and this is a bill that enables a lot of people, crores of people, that is what is being said, that they've been completely persecuted in their own homelands, which is why they've fled from there. Their numbers have reduced in those countries, and they've come here and they've been in limbo for all these years. It's an occasion that they're celebrating today, the passage of this bill in both houses of parliament. It was passed 2 nights ago in the Lok Sabha. Tonight it's been passed in the Rajya Sabha, and we've got reactions coming in from Amritsar of these people themselves, just listening to what they're saying.
असे जे नवा जन्म मिल गया नवा जन्म 22 साल हो गए सानू 22 साल जेडे थे असी ये वीजे नु संभालते हैं वीजे ले रहे हैं 22 साल हो गए साड़ी सारी उम्र इस वीजे चली गई आज एक मता पास होया जो सानू खुशी दा इन्ने ज्यादा खुशी हुई कि संभाल नहीं सकते.
So Praful, you were talking about 5+1. This gentleman was saying that he's been here for 22 years.
There are many such people, and they are staying in a very bad, pathetic condition. They are staying in camps, and their real pain has been that we were persecuted in the country which perhaps we had not chosen. The partition was not their choice. We had to stay there because we were staying there in some village. And after facing that persecution, we came to what is post 15th August 1947 is limited as India, and we came with a hope. We came in 1970s or 80s or 90s, and here also we are we are living a life of being almost rejected. So for them, for such people, this is a big relief. And the stories of persecution are so horrible that unfortunately we never discussed about them. I hope that with this due process of registration, what is happening in Pakistan is being told and documented somewhere, because instead of that, he should at least take a responsibility and at least say that this kind of thing is not happening in Pakistan. Can he guarantee that? Instead of doing that, he is condemning the bill. The due democratic process, constitutional process of India, he dares to condemn.
A matter of being aware and ignorant is a matter of convenience for Imran Khan. The least said about that is better. Let's not bring him in on a day like this where a major momentous occasion is there for the country itself. And Sangram Patnaik, again, this brings into question the issue of humanitarianism itself, because now a bill has been passed, but for all these years there were crores and crores of people who were nowhere people in our country, and it's almost shameful that nothing could be done about them for all these years.
See, the gentleman who was just a moment before, he was saying that he was to wait for 20 or 22 years. What is this humanity we're talking about? It is actually a slap in the face of all of us that the person who is actually entitled to, he's waiting for 20 years. I mean, almost about a generation he has to wait, which he's otherwise entitled to. Now, you were right when you said that, why all these things happen. Like I was saying a moment before, that this would not have been invited at all if all of you have been given the same treatment or the same respect in all these three countries, right? Now, if he has come back because of A reason or B reason, or he has been thrown out and he has now got what is due to him, not you are giving anything which is not he is entitled to. Try to understand one cycle of this gentleman, that he has waited and waited. Now, when this bill is passed, today we have to say that yes, we must accept with grace rather than with glee, right? Now, if he is going to get his due and his right as per our constitution, I do not think there is any better solution than this bill itself.
Yes, certainly, and Praful, that is a point well worth considering, because if somebody decides to take the other route and say that this is unconstitutional and challenge this bill, that would amount to throwing the baby out with the bathwater itself, because there's a lot of positive that this bill, right away you can see it with your own eyes, you can hear it, it's already doing.
It is, and this is really, ironical, hilarious, whatever you want to call it. Like, for example, one of the member of parliaments actually was talking about the persecuted, some of the Muslims who were persecuted in these countries, and why shouldn't they be included. We know the case of Taslima Nasreen, and she was not allowed to have program in the constituency of the same member of parliament. And he is talking now about giving why she was thrown out because of her novels. She talking about these this story, telling the stories of persecution, and that's why she was branded as anti-Islamic in these countries. So this is really ironical. That's why I'm saying that we need to understand this entire issue in the historical context, from the legal perspective, from the humanitarian perspective.
Yes.
The mindset of these Islamic states is, we completely agree that some of the sects within Islam are also not safe there. But the debate is not about whether Christians are getting persecuted there or Sikhs are getting persecuted. They are not debating about that. They are debating about which version of Islam is a true Islam. They have to resolve among themselves. So we can't get into that debate of what is happening in Pakistan. But who have come here and taking a refuge due to that persecution, they have right to stay here. So there is a humanitarian angle, there is a historical angle, there is of course a legal angle, and we also have a civilizational angle. When this entire constitution was not there, when this parliament was not debating, still we accepted Jews with open hands. We accepted Parsis when they got persecuted in their own land. We accepted them with open arms. That has been our civilizational role, and we just are playing that. We need to understand this entire bill in this particular context. So there is a history, there is a civilizational legacy, there is a legality, and there is a due democratic and constitutional process.
And Sangram Pranay, would you also say that in this case the people themselves need to make themselves aware, because there is a lot of effort at disinformation. I mean, even people going to the extent of saying that this will allow further fresh influx of people coming into the country, which is of course causing problems in the northeast and other parts of the country as well, and that is completely not true.
And now let me take it the other way around. Let us say that the people would be coming. What is wrong in it? Now, suppose
that's another perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the point is, suppose the people who are from this origin or the people who are from this community who are still being persecuted by these three countries because of their administration, because of their ethics, because of their constitution, because of their Islamic Republic, whatever, be that any reason. Now, if they come and there is, the census is there, the figures are there, if they come, I do not think there should be any difficulty with accepting your own people to your own land. In this bill, at least,
there is a cut-off date of December 2040.
Exactly. No, that's fine. I'm on the counter argument, but let me take straight away the question. Insofar as accepting those people, it would disturb the equilibrium of our economy. I do not think there is anything valid in this argument. Number two. Suppose you don't qualify, you don't satisfy the requirement of accepting the citizen of this country, in any case your application will be rejected. Okay. The deadline is there. Now, if you are coming with that parameter, you would satisfy, you would come to this country and you will become a citizen. So, where is this that, that tomorrow somebody would come and he will take away, the larger chunk of your bread, which is affecting your living standard? I don't think that is either here or there.
Praful, would you like to add something to that?
See, there is one argument that why should we allow this, influx to go on? Now, if it would have been in our hand, then we would have stopped that in, even in 60s and 70s. We wouldn't have to go for an entire war to create a new country, because Bangladesh was created because Bengali speaking Muslims were not accepted in Pakistan. Now, we are talking about something which is not in our hand. What is in our hand? We have created a system, we have given some deadline. Even after this continues, then we have a more diplomatic and political foreign policy strategic positioning to say that this and this is happening and these are the numbers in last 1 year, this is happening. Now, because we have sorted out the issues till some cutoff date.
Yes.
So, we have a more, authentic, substantial ground. Otherwise, this has been going on, so nothing new.
That is a natural course of things, but for the moment, people will be denied.
The question that you were asking, all these myths should be bursted. I think government has already tried its best, but it is not sufficient. It has to be done more at the community level. We should.
I'm sure that will happen.
It will happen. It will happen.
I'm sure that will happen, and you and I also have to contribute to that process as well. And we're doing that through the course of this discussion, and we will be doing perhaps further on that as well. But for the moment, I'll have to thank you, Praful. Thank you for joining us, and also Sangram Patnaik for joining us as well to talk about the passage of this landmark bill that is now on the verge of becoming an act once presidential assent is granted to it. Now, moving on, the Personal Data Protection Bill is being sent to a joint select committee of both the Houses of Parliament. The resolution on the subject moved by Union IT and Telecom Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad was passed in Parliament today, though the opposition has strong reservations about the move. As many as 4 bills were also tabled in the Lok Sabha today, and several key questions answered by ministers as the winter session of Parliament winds down. The government is stepping up on the accelerator to get key bills passed, with just 2 days left till Parliament adjourns sine die.
A number of important questions were addressed in 0 hour on Wednesday as the members put forth their views on a number of issues. A total of 4 bills were tabled in Lok Sabha. The government proposed sending the Personal Data Protection Bill to a joint select committee of both houses of Parliament amid protest by the opposition. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad said the government will bring a resolution in the House to refer it to a joint select committee. The bill has provisions for data security and data localization, among others.
We are protecting the privacy of Indians. उनकी निजता की रक्षा कर रहे हैं, उनकी डेटा की रक्षा कर रहे हैं, और उनके अनुमति सहमति के बिना कोई भी नहीं ले सकता, वरना करोड़ों का फाइन लगेगा। हम एक जॉइंट सेलेक्ट कमेटी को लेकर के आएंगे प्रस्ताव सर, और इस पूरे डेटा प्रोटेक्शन लॉ का विस्तारित विवेचन हो सर, ये हमारी आकांक्षा है।
Earlier, Central Sanskrit University Bill was tabled in Lok Sabha. The bill proposes to convert 3 deemed Sanskrit universities into central universities. Amidst the protest by opposition, Social Security Code Bill was also introduced in Lok Sabha by Labour Minister. The bill proposes various social security benefits and end complexities in labour laws.
ये चौथा और अंतिम लेबर कोड है। श्रम कानूनों की जटिलताओं को कम करने के लिए हमने कदम उठाया है, और मैं आपके माध्यम से बताना चाहता हूं कि हम जो भी कानून लाते हैं उस पर लगातार गंभीर चर्चा करते हैं मजदूर संगठनों के साथ। 44 कानूनों को 4 कानूनों में बदलने का बदलने का काम कर रहे हैं।
The Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Amendment Bill 2019 was also presented in Lok Sabha. The bill aims to provide for maintenance and welfare of parents and senior citizens and ensure their basic needs, safety, security and rights. The Lok Sabha on Wednesday passed a bill to set up a unified authority for regulating all financial services in international financial services centers in the country.
This bill is something which was foreseen long time ago. We wanted a unified authority to deal with a particular specialized financial services hub, which, because it is established now, we will in this country have something similar to London or Singapore in terms of international financial hub, which will be giving the opportunity to Indian companies to be able to access international markets and deal with the international markets through this centre.
There are only 2 days to go before the winter session of Parliament concludes. The government will therefore try to push through its legislative agenda. With Parliament team, News 9 Desk, DD India.
The Indian Space Research Organisation gave the nation another reason to celebrate today by creating history. Its trusted workhorse, the PSLV rocket, completed its record 50th launch mission today. It was also the 75th launch from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre at Sriharikota. The mission involved putting Earth observation satellite RISAT BR21 in orbit along with 9 other customer satellites. Here's more.
3, 2,
Ignition,
1, 0.
ISRO creating history yet again with its 50th PSLV launch mission. The space agency successfully injected into orbit India's remote imaging Earth observation satellite RISAT-2 BR1 along with 9 other foreign commercial satellites. The 44.4 meter tall PSLV lifted off majestically with a thunderous sound, leaving plumes of smoke from the first launch pad at the spaceport in Sriharikota at 3:25 p.m. RISAT-2 BR1 was placed into orbit around 16 minutes after the liftoff, while the remaining satellites were released in their respective orbits about 5 minutes later. ISRO chairman K. Sivan and other scientists greeted each other as all 10 satellites were ejected into the desired orbit.
I am extremely happy to declare the 50th PSLV vehicle, PSLV C-48, successfully injected RISAT-2BR1 and 9 customer satellites precisely into the 576 km orbit.
The 628 kg remote imaging Earth observation satellite RISAT-2 BR1 follows RISAT-2B that was placed successfully in orbit in May this year. The launch of PSLV C-48 RISAT-2 BR1 is the 6th launch by ISRO in 2019. The mission life is 5 years. Apart from being used for military purposes, the key application of RISAT-2 BR1 include agriculture, forestry and disaster management support. As many as 9 other satellites rode piggyback on PSLV C-48, while 6 satellites from the US would be used for multi-mission remote sensing purpose. The one launched by Italy was aimed at taking up search and rescue. A radar imaging Earth observation satellite built by Japan and another by Israel were also launched.
It's always very gratifying to see the 75th launch to be happening from the spaceport of India and the 15th, and it happens to be the 15th launch of PSLV. I think at the outset, I think we have to salute all our visionaries and all our elders who have envisioned such a program to keep our flag flying in the Committee of the Nations for such a wonderful journey, both in PSLV and other spaceport.
ISRO chairman released a book, PSLV at 50, on the occasion. Of the total 50 mission, 48 have been successful for ISRO. The satellites are being launched under a commercial arrangement with New Space India Limited. PSLV has placed around 310 foreign satellites with the first mission in September 1993. Some significant launches by PSLV include Chandrayaan-1, Mars Orbiter mission and the record launch of 104 satellites in one go earlier. With Philip Matthew, Bureau Report, DD India.
Jharkhand is all set to hold the third of 5 phases of its assembly elections tomorrow. The third phase involves polling in 17 of the 81 assembly seats in the state. The third phase has seen intense campaigning by both the ruling BJP and the opposition alliance involving the JMM, Congress and the RJD. Here's more.
17 Jharkhand assembly seats go to polls in the third phase on Thursday. They include 2 reserved for SC candidates and 1 ST nominee spread over 8 districts. In all, 7,016 polling stations have been set up to conduct smooth polling. Voting will begin at 7 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. on Thursday at Ranchi, Hatia, Kanke, Barkatha and Ramgarh seats. Voters in the rest of the constituencies can exercise their franchise between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Booth app has been launched in 10 of the 81 assembly constituencies in Jharkhand as a pilot project. And in the third phase, Hazaribagh, Ranchi and Ramgarh constituencies will have the Booth app facility to give real-time voting percentage and other information.
96 मतदान केंद्रों के जो हमारे मतदान कर्मी हैं, इनको हम लोग हेलीकॉप्टर के माध्यम से मतदान केंद्रों तक पहुंचा रहे हैं। जो हम लोग फर्स्ट चरण में जितना केंद्रीय सुरक्षा पर लगाए थे, करीब उतना ही हम लोग सेकेंड में लगाए और उतना ही हम लोग थर्ड फेज में भी लगाएंगे। प्रत्येक मतदान केंद्र पर हम लोग एडिक्वेट सुरक्षा बलों को लगाएंगे, चाहे वो सीएपीएफ हो, चाहे वो हमारा जैप इको हो हमारा, या फिर जिला जो सुरक्षा बल होता है, डिस्ट्रिक्ट आर्म पुलिस जो होता है।
According to the Election Commission's latest updated list of voters, about 56.18 lakh electorate, including female and third gender voters, are eligible to decide the fate of 309 candidates, including 32 women nominees in the 17 constituencies. Special arrangements have been made for Divyang voters.
हमारे जिले में एक स्पेशल आइडिया लाए हैं दिव्यांग मतदान केंद्र, जिसमें चारों कर्मी हमारे दिव्यांग होंगे। और अपार्ट फ्रॉम आदर्श मतदान केंद्र या महिला मतदान केंद्र, मुझे लगता है कि इस बार के लिए जो हमारे जिले में नया होगा वो है दिव्यांग मतदान केंद्र कि 110 इलेक्शन इंटर्न्स हमारे साथ आए जो पिछले 40 दिन से हमारे साथ इस पूरे मुहिम में जुड़े हुए हैं और वो लोग घर घर हमारा इस अभियान को पहुंचा रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi campaigned in favor of BJP. Besides him, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, BJP Working President JP Nadda and Union Minister Smriti Irani sought vote for candidates in different places. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and actor-politician Shatrughan Sinha addressed election meetings in support of party candidates in separate areas. Notable candidates in the electoral arena are Jharkhand Education Minister and BJP candidate Neera Yadav from Kodarma, Urban Development Minister and BJP nominee CP Singh from Ranchi, and sitting MLAs of different parties. Former Chief Minister and President of Jharkhand Vikas Morcha, Babulal Marandi is contesting Dhanwar seat. Former Deputy Chief Minister and AJSU Party President Sudesh Mahato is crossing swords with sitting JMM MLA Seema Mahato from Silli Assembly seat. Former Minister and Congress candidate Rajendra Prasad Singh is taking on sitting BJP MLA Yogeshwar Mahato from Burmo. The first phase polling for 13 seats and the second phase for 20 assembly segments concluded on November 30 and December 7 respectively. The fourth and the fifth phases polling for 15 and 16 seats will be held on December 16 and 20. Counting to the 81-member House is slated on December 23. With Divakar in Jharkhand, Bureau Report, DD India.
The Nanavati Commission has given a clean chit to the then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi-led government in the 2002 riots in the state. The Commission's report was tabled in the Gujarat Assembly by Minister of State for Home, Pradeep Singh Jadeja, today. The panel, comprising former Supreme Court Justice G.T. Nanavati and former Gujarat High Court Justice Akshay Mehta, in its report observed that police at some places were inefficient in controlling the mob because of their inadequate numbers or because they were not properly armed. The Commission also said that it did not find any evidence against any religious or political party or organizations as such in connection with the riots. The Nanavati Commission was appointed in 2002 by the then State Chief Minister Narendra Modi to probe the riots that took place after the burning of 2 coaches of the Sabarmati Express train near Godhra railway station, in which 59 car sevaks were killed.
राज्य सरकार અને ખાસ કરીને અમારા ઉચ્ચ પોલીસ અધિકારીઓ દ્વારા પંચ સમક્ષ જે વિગતો માંગવામાં આવી એની મેં કહ્યું તેમ 468 કરતા વધારે એફિડેવિટોની અંદર આપના દ્વારા જે પ્રશ્ન કર્યું છે એનું ડિટેલિંગ આપવામાં આવ્યું છે.
The Supreme Court has said that it was considering to appoint a former Apex Court judge to inquire into the encounter killings of 4 accused persons in the sensational gang rape and murder case of a veterinarian in Telangana. A bench headed by Chief Justice of India S.A. Bobde added that the top court only wanted that a Delhi-based former Apex Court judge should inquire into the case. It clarified that the former Apex Court judge who would inquire into the incident would sit in Delhi. The bench has now posted the PIL seeking an independent SIT probe into the encounter for hearing on Thursday. Senior Advocate Mukul Rohatgi and Advocate Krishna Kumar Singh, appearing for the Telangana government, said It had followed the directions laid down by the Apex Court for an inquiry into encounters and had already referred the case to the state CID. International news now, and the United Kingdom is all set to hold its mid-term parliamentary elections tomorrow, with the fate of Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Brexit hanging in balance. An election which is being described as the most important election in Britain's history. A win for the Tories would mean Boris Johnson can go full steam ahead to meet the latest Brexit deadline of the 31st of January. But if Labour wins, it will be back to the Brexit drawing board with another Brexit referendum. Polls show the Tories have a narrow lead on Labour, but it's far from comfortable.
UK is bracing itself for the unseasonal crunch polls on Thursday. Preparations in London and the whole of United Kingdom are in full swing. This is the third election in 4 years. The election has been described by all parties as Britain's most important in memory. Prime Minister Boris Johnson is hoping for a big majority so he can swiftly pull Britain out of the European Union. Where on the other side, people of London are frustrated ahead of the polling day and feel that they have no choice in the election.
If I'm honest with you, there is no choice. I don't like either of the main candidates.
None of them tell the truth. They just don't tell the truth. They're just out for themselves. They're not out for us.
The main opposition Labour Party promises a new referendum on Brexit and the renationalisation of utilities and railroads in its most left-wing platform for decades. Though Tories remain the favourites with an average lead of 9.5 points in opinion poll, it also predicted they were set only for a narrow majority. The ruling Conservative Party has kept the focus on Brexit throughout the campaign. On the last day of campaigning, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was seen helping to bake a pie with "Get Brexit Done" written over his apron.
The others already pie. This is the Get Brexit Done. This is the perfect metaphor for what we're going to do in the run-up to Christmas. If we can get a working majority, we have a deal. It's ready to go. Tomorrow, crucial choice facing the country. Do you go forward? Get Brexit done.
With his focus on the privatisation of National Health Service, main opposition Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn started his final day of election campaigning in Glasgow, telling supporters that voters from the Scottish Labour Party would be crucial for a Labour victory.
Can you honestly trust a Prime Minister who cannot tell the truth about the talks with the Americans over the privatisation of our National Health Service, who cannot tell the truth about the Brexit negotiations that he so failed to deliver on?
Meanwhile, Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage said that if the Conservative Party comes to power, Britain will be back in crisis by May, because at that point the government would be under pressure to agree to an extension to the Brexit transition. Around 46 million voters in the United Kingdom will vote and choose the representatives for 650 constituencies. Polls will open at 7 a.m. in the morning on Thursday and close at 10 p.m. when an exit poll will give the first indication of who has won. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Hafiz Saeed, the Mumbai terror attack mastermind and chief of the banned JUD, was indicted today by a Pakistani anti-terrorism court on terror financing charges. The anti-terrorism court charged Saeed along with his accomplices with terror financing in different cities of the Punjab province. On Saturday, the court had delayed the indictment owing to unavailability of one of the suspects in a case registered by the Counter-Terrorism Department, that's the CTD, on charges of terror financing. Saeed is detained at the Court Lakhpat jail. The cases have been registered in Lahore, Gujranwala and Multan cities for collection of funds for terror financing. Under pressure from the international community, the Pakistani authorities have launched investigations into matters of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the JUD and its charity wing Falah-e-Insaniyat Foundation for their holding and use of trusts to raise funds for terrorism financing. Saeed-led JUD is the front organization of the LET, which is responsible for carrying out the 2008 Mumbai terror attacks that killed 166 people. Now, sports. In chasing a mammoth 241-run target, West Indies started their innings on a poor note as they lost 3 early wickets. Indian fast bowlers Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Mohammad Shami and Deepak Chahar removed 3 batsmen in quick succession, pushing the West Indies onto the back foot. After that, Kieran Pollard and Shimron Hetmyer gave Indian bowlers some scare with their power hitting. But Kuldeep Yadav dismissed Hetmyer and Jason Holder in quick succession to put the Windies on the back foot. Currently, the Windies are batting at 149 for 6 and there's There is a keen contest still that is on because Hayden Walsh is still hitting. Earlier, KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma as well as skipper Virat Kohli struck explosive half-centuries to power India to a mammoth 240 for 3 in a series deciding 30-20 against West Indies on Wednesday. West Indies' decision to bowl first backfired as Rahul and Rohit conjured 135 runs for the first wicket in 11.4 overs. After Rohit departed on 71 runs, India's ploy to promote Rishabh Pant backfired as he got out without troubling the scorers. And later in the innings, Kohli showed his class as he and Rahul put up a 95-run stand of 45 balls for the third wicket to propel the hosts to the highest total at Wankhede Stadium within 20 overs. Now, Union Sports Minister Kiren Rijiju is hoping for a best-ever medals haul from the country's athletes in the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. But he warned that the blame would lie with all the stakeholders if India fails to put up a good show in the 2028 Games. The sports minister said 8 years should be enough for India to prepare in the best manner possible for the Los Angeles Games. And that's all we have for the moment in Newsnight. But before we go, another look at our top stories. The Citizenship Amendment Bill passes muster in the Rajya Sabha with 125 votes in favour and 105 against. 6 minority communities facing religious persecution in Pakistan, Afghanistan and Bangladesh will be able to get Indian citizenship after the President's assent. Home Minister says no Indian citizen of any religion needs to be afraid. The Modi government is committed to giving security and equal rights to all. The Home Minister counters all suspicions and misconceptions about the CAB, charges of the Congress of speaking Pakistani Prime Minister's language as well, also addresses the misgivings of people in the northeast while the region sees widespread protests. Celebrations break out across the country from Jaisalmer to Kolkata to Amritsar. Refugees hail the historic bill. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls it a landmark day for India and the nation's ethos of compassion and brotherhood, says the bill will alleviate suffering of many who face persecution for years. The Union Cabinet takes big-ticket decisions, clears partial credit guarantee scheme for purchase of high-rated pooled assets from financially sound NBFCs and housing finance companies by public sector banks. Also authorizes NHAI to set up infrastructure investment trust and monetize national highway projects, among other decisions. Lok Sabha passes the International Financial Services Centre Authority Bill. 4 other important bills tabled in the lower house. Resolution also passed to send the Data Protection Bill to a joint select committee of Parliament. The Nanavati Commission gives clean chit to then Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi-led government in 2002 riots. The committee says no evidence found against any political or religious party or group. The Commission also questions the credibility of 3 former IPS officials. All preparations in place for the third phase of assembly elections in Jharkhand. Polling will begin at 7 in the morning tomorrow on all the 17 seats going to the hustings in 8 districts of the state. ISRO scripts history and gives the nation another reason to rejoice. The PSLV rocket completes a record 50 missions by putting Earth imaging satellite RESAT 2BR1 in orbit along with 9 other commercial satellites. The United Kingdom heads into perhaps the most important midterm elections in history. Results will determine whether Boris Johnson gets to go full steam ahead on Brexit or the Union heads for another Brexit referendum. And West Indies are having a tough time chasing the target set by India at 241 runs in 20 overs in the deciding T20 International at the Wankhede Stadium. They're now 153 for 7. Well, that's all we have for the moment in Newsnight, but all the latest continues right here on DD India. Do stay tuned.